Hello? Hey guys, just to let you know, we're on YouTube now, so I've still got you guys muted.
Good morning, Cami. I just keep mine muted to keep the feedback down.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
back a little bit.
It really takes it out.
Yeah.
Good morning, Miss Karen.
Good morning. I'm in now, so everything's okay. I'm going to mute everything and probably take my picture off. We're trying to get my lighting correct.
Okay, that sounds just fine. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Hello, Miss Alyssa. Good, thank you. I've got everybody on hold right now just because we're on YouTube. And so that way I just wanted to just kind of give everybody a heads up.
Hey, Chuck.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It's like it's just us right now.
We're on YouTube, guys, just to let you guys know.
Okay. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Testing one. I can't hear anything.
We're on YouTube right now, and so everybody's just kind of laying low for a minute.
Okay,
Welcome.
thank you.
For all of those who are just joining us, we are muted right now because we're on YouTube, just to let y'all know.
Good morning, this is Lauren.
Good morning, Lauren. We've got everybody kind of muted right now because we're on YouTube, so I'll start the meeting at 9 o'clock and let you guys know when to begin.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's 9 o'clock. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a question. Is John still our chair for now?
Yes, he is. Yes,
All
he
right.
I think the only thing we're really waiting for right now is Jane, but I'm pretty sure we can go ahead and begin. It looks like we've got a quorum right now, so. Just to let everybody know really quick, the board all have access to muting and unmuting themselves. I'm not sure how many other people do, but I've made you guys all co-hosts. So please feel free to speak at will. Same with the attorneys.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just didn't have any response from anybody. I thought, well, I got shut out already. Hey, I just, so I'll call the meeting to order in just a second. I just like to know who on the board's present currently.
And
Morning,
I'm
John.
here, Karen.
Karen's there. And I
Jill.
see Jill. See Jill and I saw Lauren on. What about, did you mention Forrest and Tim Mock?
I'm
Yeah.
on as Forrest.
Tim
Are you
isn't?
booted? Are you visual, Forrest, or not?
I'm not. I don't have a camera on my computer.
Okay.
Nell's here too.
Nell's there. Okay. There you go. I see you now. Okay. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. The April meeting of the Mineland Reclamation Board to order.
John,
And with that,
real quick,
pardon me?
can we go ahead and find out who else is on? Some of the people I'm not quite familiar with.
Okay, yeah, those that are also joining us, would they please announce their presence and tell us who they are and what they're here for?
Well, this is Steve Mullican. I'm a counsel for Warren Dean on item 12 on your agenda.
Hi, I'm Stan Dempsey, Colorado Mining Association. I'm here to testify on the core rules.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm Brendan Shine. I represent the Gillette mine, and I'm just here to follow the proceedings.
is that all? Is anyone else present?
Yeah.
I'm Hillary Rowland. I'm a Steve Mullican's associate, also representing Warren Dean.
What's your name again? Hillary Rowland, okay.
Warren Dean's there, but it shows that he is muted. So maybe he needs to unmute or somebody needs to unmute.
Okay.
There we go.
I can't. I keep hitting it. Sorry.
You're good.
But I can hear.
Okay, who else? How about from the staff? Who are our staff people here there? You know, and I need to ask that question. Is Chuck there? Is our barrister there?
Yes.
Legal counsel. How do we want to handle the swearing of witnesses today?
I think you can just do it as you normally would. Have them raise their hand and swear them in.
Okay.
We can see basically everybody who's going to be testifying, and it should work.
Okay. With that, then I would ask for the approval of the March 25th minutes of Mineland Reclamation Board. Need a motion unless somebody's got a problem with them.
So moved.
And
I'll
move.
second.
Who second?
Jill.
I think we need to be careful to announce who we are as much as possible so that we can get, you know, so our person and keeping us under order can hear who's saying what. So we got a motion to accept and a second from whom?
Karen moved and Jill seconded.
Okay. Are there any questions or discussion regarding the minutes? If not, I would ask those in favor of approving that motion signify by saying aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. I guess, Cammie, we don't have any continuances or withdrawals.
No,
I mean,
actually, we did have a withdrawal, and that was Sunday Mine.
okay. So I should ask for approval of that withdrawal of the Sunday Mine. What was the agenda number on that? Let me look here.
I want to say it was number 8, but I could be mistaken.
Let me look.
It's number 9.
Number 9.
Is there a motion to approve that withdrawal?
So
Karen,
moved. This
so
is
moved.
mine.
Been moved and I guess seconded. All those in favor of withdrawing item number 9 on the agenda? Signify
Aye.
by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor? All those in favor say aye, and then those opposed, the same sign. Hearing none, then we approve the withdrawal of the item number 9 on the agenda. With that, is Mr. Mock here? Did he say he was here? Do we have a director?
I am here. I was muted, I think, and I figured it out. So,
okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tim Mock, Deputy Executive Director for Department of Natural Resources. It's very nice to see everybody. And I hope you and your families are doing well and are healthy. A couple updates here. DNR continues to function, all things considered, relatively well through this COVID pandemic. We've been real proud of our team and that regular business seems to be moving forward. I think I mentioned at our last meeting that our WIGs, the wildly important goals that the governor provides us for the upcoming year, have been placed on hold, and we are waiting on further guidance. We are working on the budget, and those conversations are starting to take off, I think, today. We do expect that there will be a significant impact to not only the state's budget, but certainly for our general fund divisions, some impacts there. So we are working through those and identifying necessary adjustments right now. The legislature is scheduled to reconvene on May 18th, and we're waiting for sort of what we expect is going to be abbreviated agenda and what might be considered during that session. Currently, I'm not certain that we're expecting that they will take up all of the regularly calendared items that they were working on before this pandemic began. We do have, the governor did issue some new guidance, safer at home on Monday evening. We are working through that and what that might mean for DNR, but for the time being and the foreseeable future, we will be operating similar to as we are today. Majority of our staff working telecommuting from home as we begin to roll back into the office. We're expecting some further guidance coming out this week, and we'll obviously take some time to tailor to DNR and then further implement. I do think a little good feeling type of story for today. DNR and some of our employees have undertaken mask making, and we've had a steady stream of Capitol or State Patrol, Capitol Complex workers, division employees coming in to pick up hundreds of homemade masks, and we do expect they will be utilized not only now, but as we return to the workplace. Just a couple things that have been going on that are normal business. The Northwest region did hold an open house on its mountain lion plan. We had more than 20 employees attend. It was a 5-hour-long public house to answer questions about the proposed West Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan. We had more than, sounds like 14,000 post views in 5 hours, included a 13-minute explainer video with 867 full views from 7,000 plus viewers. So still a lot of interest in what's going on. We have struggled to keep up with the recreation demands during this time. I think that's been probably one of the most significant impacts is our residents' demand to get out of their homes and recreate. And it has created, I don't want to say it's created some issues, especially on the riskier activities and in our high alpine areas. Last week, we had 11 human-triggered avalanches. 4 people were caught up and carried, and we had, unfortunately, 1 death. That bringing the fatal avalanche accidents to a total of 5 for this season. And then finally here, 2 more items, big game corridors. We did complete a status report on the big game migration patterns related to scientific materials on seasonal habitats and submitted that report to the governor's office. We expect it will be made public this week. And then the BLM published a 6-state supplemental EIS in Wyoming, Utah, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Idaho in response to a temporary injunction in the Idaho U.S. Circuit Court on the administration's 2019 plan to override 2015 oil and gas restrictions. That comment deadline has been extended until May 21st. And then finally, oil and gas continues with its Senate Bill 181 rulemakings and has been holding their regularly scheduled monthly meetings. And that is all that I have, and I welcome any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Mock?
I have one. This is Karen Utterback, Norman. Where was that Mountain Lion Management Plan meeting held? The one for the Northwest Colorado region?
So hi, Karen. It was held on Facebook. And so it was a video conference, basically. You may be able to, and I can look into this, it may still be recorded off of our Facebook or one of our YouTube channels, and I can get back to you with that link if you'd like.
I would very much like that. Thank you so much.
Bet.
And the other one is, it's Karen again, that big game migration pattern document is going to be made public. Can you tell me how that will be made public, or if there's a link to it that I could access that also?
Yes, I expect that we will probably put out a press release and make that available electronically. Again, once that is finalized, we are just getting it dressed up for publishing right now. So once it is made available, I'll send that along as well.
Thank you very much.
Tim, curiously, I know the JBC is going to, I guess, start meeting again early May, maybe started already. Do you think there's going to be some revisions to the long bill? And I'm sure that's probably the #1 thing that the legislature's got to handle after they come back in session.
Yes, we expect some drastic revisions to the long bill.
And then, so the JBC will be discussing that very shortly, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, I think I can't remember if it's if they actually come back beginning next week or the week after, but it is very shortly. I'll get that back out to you.
Oh, no problem. I was just curious what you thought. I'll find out.
Okay.
Anyway, any other questions?
I think they're meeting on May 4th.
Yeah.
I know they originally said that, but I think they're maybe even might start in advance of that, but we'll see. Anyway, any other questions? With that, thank you so much, Tim and Jenny. It's your turn. Give us some pearls of wisdom.
Okay, well, I don't have many pearls of wisdom, but I do have some facts, unfortunate ones at that. Jenny Brandon, Division Director, Reclamation, Mining and Safety. We have 5 confirmed COVID ID cases at 2 underground coal mines. 4 of them are at West Elk in Dutton County, bordering Delta County, and 1 of them is at 20 Mile in Routt County. Both of the mines have implemented pretty stringent restrictions going forward. West Elk, for example, is screening everybody who comes in and out. So they get screened twice a day, once when they come in, once when they leave. Obviously, all 5 workers are currently in quarantine. None of them are in the hospital. So anyway, that was unfortunate news that we just received this week. So I don't have anything else actually, unless anybody has questions or comments.
Any questions? Okay, thank you so much, Jenny.
Mhm.
That moving on the agenda, I guess I would need, a motion to accept the consent agenda, but I noticed that Elliot Russell wants 5 minutes of our time with the Gillette pit.
Good morning, this is Elliot Russell. Actually, I just reserved that time just in case if there were any questions, but there isn't any need for 5 minutes of my time.
Okay.
Thank
Is
you.
everybody okay with the consent agenda, or do you have any questions of Elliot? If not, would somebody give me a motion to accept the consent agenda?
This is Jill. I moved to accept the consent agenda.
This is
Is there
Nell.
a
I
second?
Nell
Moved and
seconds.
seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same sign. Hearing none, the consent agenda is accepted.
Mr. Chair, this is Russ Means. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I think that Elliot does actually have a little bit of news he might want to share with the board. We have a new member in the mine land reclamation division's family. Elliot, you want to tell the board?
Hey, Russ. Yeah, so on the 23rd of March, we welcomed baby Ryan Patrick Russell. He was healthy, mom is healthy, and we're doing great.
All right, congratulations.
That's awesome. Congrats, Elliot. Congratulations, Elliot.
I would show you him, but he's sleeping right now in his bassinet.
Yeah, don't wake him up.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the news. With that, moving on to item number 5 on the agenda is the approval of the Colorado Inactive Mine Reclamation Program. Jeff Graves and Gail Basher have 30 minutes.
Okay, Jeff Graves, Program Director for the Inactive Mine Reclamation Program. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will start sharing my screen and kind of go through a presentation. I've got. I assume everybody can see that.
Yes, thanks.
There we go. So I believe in your board package, you have a copy of my presentation in addition to the full grant package. I made a couple of slight adjustments to my presentation. So I think the one that was sent out last week may be slightly different, not significantly different, but obviously you can feel free to follow along on the screen. Additionally, in the board packet, there's a lot more detail associated with the grant, specifically on each of the projects, and then also on some of our funding sources associated with the work that we do. Feel free to peruse that as I'm going over the presentation. I'm not going to cover every single project, but I will kind of highlight some of the more important ones. So go ahead and get started here. So the Inactive Mine Reclamation Program, I'm sure you guys are aware, but we address hazards and environmental problems associated with abandoned, inactive, legacy mines. A lot of different terms get thrown around. In our world, that generally means sites that operated prior to 1977, before reclamation laws were enacted. Kind of what we do a lot with coal fire investigation and mitigation, and you'll see some highlights of that in the presentation. We also address coal mine subsidence, doing abatement and investigations, coal and non-coal safety closure work throughout Colorado. We do some water quality improvement projects and investigations, mostly in partnership with some nonprofit groups and EPA and the health department. And then we also complete bond forfeiture reclamation projects with bonds that are forfeited by the board. So complicated, colorful slide here. Kind of the AML activities. So the stuff that we do on the left side there, and then the funding sources on the right side. As you can see, we have a number of different activities that we accomplish, and the funding sources for those various activities is somewhat different. What we're kind of highlighting today and what we need decision from the board on is our Title IV grant to the Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement. And that grant generally goes to cover our program administration, so kind of our overhead costs. It also covers coal reclamation projects. And then we also utilize some of that grant funding to address hard rock hazardous mine opening safety closures throughout the state. We also work with a number of different partners, federal agencies, specifically BLM, Forest Service. We have a new partner, Department of Energy, that we're also working with on some uranium closures in the West Slope. In addition to working with both the EPA, the Health Department on water quality projects. And then we use our state severance tax dollars to help supplement a lot of our hard rock work, specifically safety closures, environmental projects, and then also to supplement on bond forfeiture sites where there was insufficient bond to cover the remaining liability. We also have established some partnerships with private industries, and those go to cover a lot of our hard rock safety closure work and some of our environmental water quality improvement projects. So just to highlight some of the accomplishments from fiscal year 19, you can see the various types of projects that we break things out by in terms of total dollars spent. You can see we spent the most money on our non-coal, so that's kind of our hard rock safety closure work and maintenance, about $1.7 million. Followed up by environmental water quality projects at about 1.1 million, and then a significant amount of money on coal related projects. You can see the total number of projects that were completed is 85. We safeguarded 268 features, reclaimed 98 acres for a total cost of just over $4 million. And that $4 million includes a significant amount of partnership funding. So that's a lot of our Forest Service, BLM, and other partnerships that go into that $4 million. So just go through a few basic program updates for you. This last year, we completed a coal fire inventory report. We do that about every 5 years. And as part of that report, this year we hired a subcontractor to go out and monitor all of about 38 coal fires throughout the state. During that monitoring, they did temperature monitoring, they did some drone work overhead, flying for infrared, and then also high resolution photography. And combined all that with a lot of site observations and developed a risk matrix for us to help prioritize our coal fire work. Not that we didn't prioritize that work in the past, but this kind of helps us to triage those 38 different coal mine fires and pick the ones that have the most risk associated with them. So these might be sites that either have very high surface temperatures that have the potential for wildfire ignition, or they may be sites that are located close to population centers or areas where we have structures that need to be protected. So you can kind of look through the details of that report. I posted the link there. It's on our website, so you can kind of read in detail each one of those 38 sites and kind of how we prioritize those fires within that risk matrix. Also highlight some awards that the program received this last year. We received the Western Region Award from the Office of Surface Mining Reclamation and Enforcement for the Wise Hill Coal Fire Mitigation Project. That was located just outside of Craig. Pretty significant fire that we've been working on for the last roughly 20 years. As part of this project, we did a full excavation down to about 100, actually a little over 100 feet on some of the surface burning coal and then some of the subsurface rider seams that were on fire. So we excavated that, quenched the burning coal, and then put that back into the hillside and reclaimed the surface. And subsequent to that work, we've seen significantly lower temperatures on the surface, and some of those areas are actually holding snow over the wintertime now, where they didn't before. Also highlight, we received an award for remediation of environmental contamination by the National Association of Mine Land Programs. And this was for the Huff Mine. That mine is located kind of in the upper watershed on Engineer Pass of Henson Creek. And so as part of that project, we consolidated some historic mine waste, put it into a repository, capped that, and subsequent monitoring to that work has indicated that we've seen water quality improvements downstream in both Palmetto Gulch and Hinson Creek. So pretty successful project. We also completed a video that kind of discusses some of our partnerships and closure work that we've completed in Boulder County. You can follow the link that's on our website and kind of watch that video. And it's a good summary of some of the work we've completed and how we work with a lot of our partners to accomplish those goals. A few additional program updates. We're currently working with the National Association of Abandoned Mineland Programs to address and kind of move forward SMACRA reauthorization. We rely on fees that are collected as part of Title IV to fund these Title IV grants that we receive from OSM, and that fee collection is set to expire in 2021. And that would have pretty significant impacts on our program. Obviously, it would eliminate those Title IV grants that we currently receive. And so we've been working with our National Association to kind of move forward some legislation. And currently legislation is within the House, HR 4248, and that would extend fee collection through 2036. So you can go to the House website and actually read that legislation to kind of see what it details, but it would extend fee collection for the next 15 years and would then result in continuation of those Title IV grants. And then finally, we worked with GAO in addition to a number of our state partners and some of our federal partners to put together a Hard Rock AML expenditures inventories and kind of challenges report on the Hard Rock problem, specifically in the West. And that report details kind of the status of various inventories, how much money's been spent on Hard Rock reclamation over the last, I think it was 10 years. And then just kind of highlight some of those challenges specifically related to the environmental reclamation components of Hard Rock work surrounding Clean Water Act liabilities and some of those circle liabilities. So you can follow that link to read the more detailed report that kind of highlights that. So those are the program updates I had. So now we'll just kind of get into the meat of the presentation, which is the kind of overview of our reclamation grant here, and then some subsequent focus on various projects. So part of our 39th grant, we have coal-fired design and abatement projects that we'll be focusing on. We also have some high priority coal and non-coal safety closure work included in the grant, and then some hazardous structure stabilization. One specific project that has hazardous structure stabilization, you can kind of see that in the bottom right, it's that structure. And then there's some other ones that are included in some of our safety closure work. You'll see a lot of cost share from our partners, specifically BLM, Forest Service, DOE, and then some of our local governments, specifically Boulder County, kind of highlighted in some of these projects. So here's the overview map of where our projects are located throughout the state. You can kind of see our coal projects are located mostly along the Front Range, both northern Front Range and kind of Boulder County and Weld, and then down along the southern Front Range, extending from Canyon City down to Trinidad area and Raton. Our coal fire investigation and mitigation works mostly located in Northwest Colorado, and I'll highlight some of those counties. And then the remaining Hard Rock work is located pretty much along the mineral belt, extending from Larimer County all the way down into the San Juans and Silverton area. So just to highlight some of our projects, and like I mentioned, you can follow along in your board packet if you want to see more of the details associated with these. So I think I'm going to highlight about 7. So I'll just start off with our coal fire investigation and mitigation. So this is located in the counties of Moffett, Rio Blanco, Garfield, Mesa, Delta, Gunnison, and Routt counties. And so we have about 30 different fires spread throughout those counties that we'll be working on. And a lot of this will be guided by the work that we completed through that inventory over the last 5 years. And so we'll be utilizing that decision matrix and risk matrix to help us focus our efforts on which fire needs to be worked on quickly and what are the best mitigation methodologies for each one of those sites. So we have a couple of different abatement methods that we'll be trying out here in 2020, specifically some drilling and grouting we expect, and then also some excavation and quenching of those fires. And you can kind of see some of the examples of the work that was completed as part of that inventory down in the lower left and lower right, where we have some temperature monitoring And then we did some 3D modeling of some of those fires to get a better sense of where we had active burn zones. We have about $250,000 set aside from SMACRA to assist in that project this year. Boulder Coal Legacy Project. This is located in Boulder County, near the towns of Marshall, Superior, Louisville, Lafayette, and Erie. And as part of this project, it was kind of interesting. We utilized some new technology. So LiDAR, you can kind of see an example of that down in the lower right slide where we had LiDAR data. So that's really high resolution survey data of the surface. And so we combined that LiDAR data with underground mine mapping data to help us locate areas where we were seeing subsidence. You can see some examples of those photos in the upper right, where we were able to find some new subsidence features associated with the LiDAR and the mine mapping that we had overlaid. So we're trying to utilize some new technologies to assist in kind of developing projects without always having to have folks out in the field finding these things. And so as part of this project, we have 2 adits, 1 shaft, and 27 vertical openings for a total of $120,000. And I mentioned Boulder County early on, and we're receiving some cost share from Boulder County as some of these are located on Boulder County open space property. The next project is the BEC Project. So this has 33 hazardous mine openings, and these are located just north of the town of Jamestown in western Boulder County, near the Ballarat Outdoor Educational Center. For those that have kids in the Denver public schools, a lot of their kids go up to this outdoor recreation center to learn outdoor skills. What we found out is there's a lot of dangerous mine openings around this place. And so we're going to be working with that education center to address many of these hazards, recognizing that over 10,000 students annually are potentially exposed to a lot of these hazards, either on the property or surrounding the property on Forest Service lands. So we'll also be receiving some cost share funding from the Forest Service, in addition to utilizing some of our severance tax and SMACRA funding to address those hazards. Next project is the Sullivan's Travels Project. This one is located in Larimer County, 18 different hazardous mine openings. You can kind of see there's some interesting pictures I have on there. The larger one in the upper right is a posting in the Estes Park Trail Gazette that was advertising a great hike to one of these abandoned mines. Obviously, once we found out about that, we wanted to highlight the hazardous nature of that kind of an activity, and then also to get out there as quickly as possible and do some safety closure work to reduce exposure to the public. And then kind of in the lower left there, you can see that is a plastic skeleton, not a real one, located in the back of that adit there. Apparently this is an adit near, I think it's along the St. Vrain River, near a reservoir that Longmont maintains. And apparently the fly fishermen access that adit on a consistent basis and change the pose of our friend in there every so often. And so City of Longmont highlighted that to us. And so we'll be working with them to get that safeguarded here pretty quickly. So we're going to be working with both the Forest Service, City of Longmont, and then Department of Energy, because they have some defense-related uranium mines in the area also. So we'll be using all that funding for a total of $88,000 to address those hazards. The Up Clear Creek project, as the name suggests, that is in Clear Creek County. Within that watershed, there's 39 hazardous mine openings that we'll be addressing as part of that project. You can see in a lot of these slides that I'm providing, there's ample evidence of significant public visitation of these sites, which is obviously a pretty big concern for us just based on the potential hazards associated with each one of these. You can see in the photo on your right, there's kind of a homeless camp associated with one of these adits in Clear Creek. And then in the lower left, you can see somebody drag a couch back into one of them. So a big concern for us. A lot of these sites in Clear Creek County are being visited on a consistent basis. There's ample evidence of mountain biking, hiking, camping, as you can see, observed in most of these features, even some of the ones that seem or appear to be relatively remote. So this project's a pretty big project. We're requesting $27,000 in SMACRA, but also receiving a pretty significant Forest Service contribution to address features that are on their property. So a total cost of $165,700. The Monarch Project, this is located in Chaffee County, kind of a combination of both private and Forest Service features. The photograph in the lower left actually was posted, not that specific photograph, but that site was posted on a Facebook group advertising how cool it was to go underground at this site, visit it. So once again, we're seeing a lot of public visitation. And lately we've seen a lot of public posting and advertisement of many of these features. And so we're kind of adapting to this new social media environment and monitoring a lot of these websites where we see consistent posting of hazardous mine features. So this project had a couple of those features in it. So we'll be attempting to address those as quickly as possible. Some of these are on Forest Service, as I mentioned, and so we've got a good split of cost share on this project for a total of $160,000. And then not far away from that Monarch project, we have the Tamichi project. This is located in Gunnison County, near the town of White Pine and Pitkin. So really just over the hill from Monarch. An area that gets significant summertime traffic. A lot of four-wheel drive roads in this area that lead right up to many of these dangerous features. And so this is another priority area for us just based on the amount of recreation that takes place in that area. A lot of Forest Service, some BLM lands also, and so we've got a pretty good cost share partner on this project for a total cost of $125,000. And so here's kind of a little bit of a busy slide, but this just covers all the projects that are associated with the grant that we're presenting today for your approval. You can see there's 21 different projects. I've highlighted the ones in yellow that we talked about today, but so you can kind of see a few coal and then a lot of our non-coal projects. As I mentioned before, the other projects are covered in detail in your board packet, but we had a total of 21 projects, 315 different mine openings, those 30 fires that we'll be addressing in the coal fire mitigation, and about 32 acres that we'll be reclaiming, mostly associated with those coal fires. And then I mentioned 4 hazardous structures that we'll be attempting to stabilize and reduce the danger associated with those. The total SMACRA request for our grant for these projects is just over $1 million. We're anticipating the need for about $500,000 of severance tax as a supplement. And then anticipating that we'll receive about $550,000 of partner funding to go along with our other funding for a total project cost of just over $2 million to accomplish all that work. And so this is our grant approval request. Total project cost, about $1.4 million, and that includes some NEPA activities that were not covered on the last slide, in addition to project design and some realty work that we have to accomplish prior to completing our projects. And then our administrative cost of about $1.4 million also, and that includes a majority of our overhead costs, OIT, legal support, those kind of things. So our total grant request is $2.8 million for our Title IV grant. That's the last slide I had, so I'm welcome to entertain any questions that you have regarding the grant.
Any questions for Jeff?
Hey, Jeff, this is Lauren. First off, obviously great accomplishments so far, and sounds like a very busy and important build season. So congrats on that. Please let us know how TU can support you guys in any way possible. This is really great work that it's wonderful to see being done. Only question is about budgets. Do you anticipate any change of financial support or any changes from funders along the way that might make this overall ask more difficult or more individual projects more difficult?
I think we're not too concerned with our OSM grants. I mean, that's pretty much guaranteed funding each year because it's non-discretionary federal funding. So I believe from the OSM standpoint, we're feeling pretty comfortable. And I think currently our severance tax budget that we currently have right now, and those are generally 3-year grants, I should cover that severance tax or severance tax ask that we have as part of the project. The majority of our Forest Service and BLM cost shares that we have associated with the project are already in place. So we feel pretty comfortable with those. Some of the private funding, I mean, we've heard from some of our private funders that they may have some challenges based on the economics for the next year or two. But I think currently we're in good shape. So.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions? Jeff, I noticed you guys did some work down on the Crazy French Ranch, which has now come into our view as a next state park. You feel comfortable with what's done, and is there anything else necessary? I'm happy to see you're doing that.
Yeah, and John, I'll have to confess, I don't know all the details associated with the work that we're doing on the Crazy French, but I can certainly get back to you with any additional work that we feel like might be needed on site. So be happy to follow up.
Okay. Well, that's kind of an exciting project. We're looking forward to it. And I know the governor's certainly excited about it. Also, you know, I mean, I know you're okay right now, but boy, you know, the petroleum market right now is less than evasive. You know, we're gonna have to plan ahead for, looks like severance tax is certainly going to be challenged for, I mean, big time, don't you think?
I think we're certainly going to have some challenges. I mean, it's hard to say what that looks like at this point. I know we'll find out more as we begin to get some budget projections. But, you know, we'll certainly make adjustments as we see changes coming down the pipe in terms of what we're able to do. And it may reduce our capacity to do some reclamation in the future. So.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? With that, could we entertain a motion for Jeff to approve his request?
So moved. This Forrest.
Forrest moves.
I'll second it, Karen.
Karen seconds. Any discussion? Well, again, I concur with Lauren. I appreciate your good work there. We need to keep doing all those sort of things. So I appreciate your good work, and it looks like you're putting the funding to good use. So it's been moved and seconded. If I hear no other discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign. Hearing none, Jeff, your request has been accepted. Thank you very much for your time and presentation.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to enforcement hearing. Item number 6 on your agenda, and it's Max Gravel LLC, Pete's, Colorado. Do we have any staffer that's going to explain this to us?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be Brock Bowles, DRMS.
Okay, thanks, Brock.
John, do you want to swear us in?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, knowing you, I better. So all those that are going to testify on this issue, recognize yourself, and then I ask you to tell the truth. How many people are testifying?
That'll be me, Brock Bowles.
And Michael Cunningham.
Okay, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, proceed.
Good morning. Brock Bowles with DRMS. We are here today to confirm the board's previous determination that the financial warranty should be forfeited for the Delagey Pit number 1, according to CRS 3432.5-118-3A. The Delagey Pit is run by the operator Max Gravel. It's a 110 sand and gravel pit in Logan County. And the current bond is set at $23,833.72. On January 13th, 2020, the board order was sent to the operator, finding the operator in violation of for failing to submit the required annual fees, annual reports, and maps. On January 24th, the operator failed to cure the violations cited in the board order. On January 3rd, is there a question?
No, not yet.
Okay. On January 30th, We mailed the notice of enforcement hearing for forfeiture of the warranty to the operator and to TBK Bank, who's the financial warrantor. On March 16th, we set a notice of continuance to the operator and to TBK Bank that the board hearing won't be held in March, but that it was continued to the April MLRB meeting. The legal basis for the permit revocation forfeiture of financial warranty is outlined in your board packet. I can read that if anybody wants. We did send the board order on January 30th, and the certified mail receipts are included with your board packet. The staff recommendation is that we confirm the staff recommends and asks that the board confirms the determination that the financial warranty in the amount of $23,833.72 should be forfeited in accordance with CRS 3432.5-1183A, and also to issue a written findings of fact and conclusion of law to support its decision and issue an order directing affected financial warrantors to immediately deliver to the board all amounts warranted by applicable financial warranties in accordance with CRS 34-35 or 32.5-1183B. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Brock?
Yeah, Brock, this is Lauren. It's
Morning.
my traditional question whenever I see these cases. Have you heard from the operator and had communication with them?
No, I haven't heard anything from this operator at all. I have sent out numerous emails and I've attempted to call them early on, right after we issued the initial violation of annual fees, but I haven't heard anything at all from them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? That would, I would entertain a motion to approve staff recommendation.
This is Jill. I'll make a motion. I move that we confirm the determination that the financial warranty in the amount of $23,833.72 is forfeited in accordance with CRS 3432.5-1183A, and that we will issue an order with written findings of fact and conclusions of law directing the affected financial warrantors to immediately deliver to the board all amounts warranted by applicable financial warranties in accordance with CRS 3432.5-1183B.
I'll second.
Second by Forrest.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Jill's motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Thanks, Brock.
You're welcome. Come on.
And I guess you're on the next one too, huh? So you're not finished yet.
Nope, not yet.
Enforcement hearing on Brian Barton.
It's the same crew testifying. Do we need to swear in again?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If you guys promise to tell the truth.
I do. Again, in your the board packet, this is consideration of violation of penalty in regards to failure to submit an annual report, map, and fee. This is for the Barton Pit. The operator is Dumb and Dumber Trucking. The existing bond is $49,700. It's a 112 permit for a gravel in Logan County. Last night, about 4 or 5 o'clock, we did receive the annual fee and all required reports for this operation, the Barton Pit. And we would just like to, at this time, just remove this item from the list or not consider this penalty anymore because it has been resolved.
Okay, how do we handle this? Russ?
Staff is just requesting that we go ahead and withdraw this matter from consideration from the board in general, and because it's a last minute deal and that we couldn't put it on the continuances and withdrawals. So what we're asking for is just simply of approval of the withdrawal of the item since it was abated.
You need a motion for that?
I'll leave that to the attorneys. I don't think we do. I just think that the board needs to be aware of it and acknowledge it.
Mr. Corriman, do we need a motion?
Might as well. We can just roll it in with do a similar motion to what you did for the other withdrawal, and you know, it's just been resolved, so shouldn't be a big deal.
Okay, well, with that, would somebody make a motion to accept this withdrawal?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, this is Nell.
Okay, now, and so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, we're going to move on to item number 8. Enforcement hearing, Elk Creek Sand and Gravel. Eric Scott, Michael Cunningham.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah.
Okay. How many are there? Is Michael Cunningham, Eric, and Russ?
Yes. Yes.
You three swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
All right, bear with me for a second here. I'm going to try and share a presentation with you guys.
Okay.
All right, are we all looking at slide 1 of the Elk Creek Sand and Gravel Schaefer's Crossing? Excellent. We're here this morning for the consideration of the revocation of the permit and forfeiture of the financial warranty for failure to comply with the board order. And I'll let the board know at this time that we did receive some last minute communication from Ms. Moores this morning indicating that she was not going to participate in this morning's hearing. I will proceed and elaborate on the notice that she's been giving. On March 13th, 2020, DRMS mailed the reason to believe a violation exists letter and the notice of enforcement hearing for forfeiture of financial warranty via certified mail to the permittee. And we hold a cash bond for the site, so a separate notice for an additional financial warrantor was not necessary in this case. On April 10th, DRMS provided an email and also express courier mail to the operator's last known address, an amended notice of hearing, which informed the operator that today's board meeting would be virtual and provided the operator with all the necessary information to join the hearing via the telephone conference. On April 13th, 2020, based on the operator's feedback following the prior notice, DRMS provided the operator with an additional amended notice via email, including all necessary information to participate in the hearing utilizing this Zoom video conferencing. So the operator is well aware of this morning's proceedings. And just as a quick refresher, the site summary, the permittee is Elk Creek Sand and Gravel.
The site name is Schaefer's Crossing. It is a 110C permit issued in 1978 for 9.9 acres. And the post-mining land use is industrial commercial. The existing bond is $10,400 and the anniversary date is June 16th. And just a bit of a quick refresher as to where the site is located in Jefferson County, located out Highway 285. And this is an overview of the site at 285 and Highway 93. We have the site location here along with the high wall and permit boundary. You may recognize this from prior presentations. So we'll go into a bit of enforcement history with this operator. We've got 5 violations from 2000 to 2017 for failure to submit the annual fee report and map. We've got another violation in December of 2018, which ended up in the permit being revoked and finding it the financial warranty was subject to forfeiture. On February of 2019, MLRB issued a board order reinstating permit M1978-208. However, in June of 2019, the Mine Land Reclamation Board found a violation for failure to comply with the condition of an order, permit, or regulation. On July 26, the order for that violation was issued and required submittal of a complete 110 to 112C permit conversion application within 90 days. In addition, the total civil penalty of $4,100 was issued with all but $2,500 suspended if the correction action was complied with. On September 25th, 2019, the board revoked the permit for failure to submit the 2019 annual fee and report and directed the division to set the permit for forfeiture at the December 11, 2019 MLRB hearing. The permit conversion, which was ordered in July, board order, and the unsuspended civil penalty were still outstanding at that time and still remain outstanding to this day. On December 11th, 2019, the board reinstated the permit and allowed the operator an additional 90 days to comply with the July 2019 board order and bring the site back into compliance through submittal of the civil penalty and the required permit conversion. On March 11th, 2020, the 90-day extension granted by the board in December passed without the operator's submittal of the required permit conversion or any portion of the civil penalty that was issued in the June board meeting. So on March 13th, 2020, DRMS mailed the reason to believe a violation exists and notice of enforcement hearing for forfeiture of financial warranty to the permittee pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-118 parent 2. The corrective actions and civil penalties contained in MV 2019-015 issued in July of 2019 remain outstanding. Therefore, the division recommends at this time that the board find a violation pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-124 for failure to comply with the condition of an order, permit, or regulation, and therefore a violation exists to the Colorado Land Reclamation Act for the extraction of construction materials, CRS 34-32.5-101. Pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-124, parent 6, parent A, the division recommends that the permit M1978-208 be revoked. Pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-118, parent 1, parent B, the division would also like the board to find the financial warranty for permit number M1978-208 in the amount of $10,400 subject to forfeiture. And further confirm the determination that the financial warranty in the amount of $10,400 should be forfeit in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118, parent 3, parent A. issue a written finding of fact and conclusion of law to support its decision, and issue an order directing the affected financial warrantors to immediately deliver to the board all amounts warranted by applicable financial warranties in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118, parent 3, parent B. And with that, the division will answer questions from the board. We would just, I guess, like to remind the board that these issues have been brought up starting with a problem citation in 2018. And the division has attempted to work from that time with the operator to try and bring the site back into compliance. And we have had no success. The operator remains out of compliance and appears to be unwilling to move in the direction of compliance at this time. So if the board has any questions, we'll certainly entertain those now.
Any questions?
This is Jill. I had a question. I apologize if I missed it in your presentation, but what is it going to take to do the reclamation on this? I know one of our main concerns has been that high wall and getting that fixed, and that the bond's pretty low. And I apologize if I missed this when you were doing your presentation.
Not at all. This site, the post-mining land use was specified as industrial commercial. So I think that there would need to be some verification that the high wall was in a stable configuration. And we would have to look at whatever sort of bolting, fencing, maybe a safety fence at the top of the wall, something like that would be required to make sure that that posed, that the high wall was stable in the long term moving forward. Beyond that, it would basically require just the conditioning of the site, maybe removal of some stockpiles, things of that nature to allow the site to be further developed.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments?
I
Yeah, Mike.
have a question. This is
Karen, go ahead.
okay. By putting a fence along the top of that high wall, is that going to be sufficient over a long period of time, or we're going to have to go back in there and do something to stabilize all of that?
My guess would be that some further stabilization study might be required to verify what sort of long-term measures would be required. It's also entirely possible that if someone were to take over this site for future development, that they might have something different in mind and might potentially also engage in some of their own activity to modify the current configuration of the site to suit their needs.
Is it your opinion that the money that is presently being held is sufficient to reclaim this on a permanent basis?
I'm sorry, I lost the second part of that question.
Okay, is it your opinion that the money that's currently being held, the 10,000 plus, is sufficient to reclaim this on a permanent basis?
I'm not sure if I have a solid answer to that question. We're going to have to do a little more looking into it. What's pretty clear to us at this point, however, is that the operator is not going to be willing to work with us to amend the permit and potentially increase that bond. So unfortunately, I think what we've got at this point is what we've got.
This is Michael Cunningham. If I might just add to Eric's response, I think we would acknowledge that the $10,400 that we currently have is not sufficient to perform full reclamation of the site. Our hope was that through the submittal of a conversion application, we'd be able to work with the operator and have another opportunity to evaluate the appropriate amount. However, since we never got to that stage, we've not conducted a surety increase or full evaluation of what that financial warranty should be
Thank you.
Any other questions? Just one, is there substantial material still that can be used at that site?
Do you mean material that's already been mined and processed, or do you mean?
No, I mean, does that site still have a mineable life to it? I mean, is it still a viable, well, can it be with the right management, can it be a viable operation?
I would guess that yes, there probably is some material remaining at the site that could be processed and utilized.
Okay, I was just curious. Yeah.
I mean, that there's a bit remaining on site. Clearly, if the permit were amended to increase the size of it, then yes, there would be a significant amount of available material. But as Michael pointed out, we've not gotten to that point.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Comments? If not, would somebody make a motion regarding this issue?
This is Jill. I'll make a motion. I move that we find a violation pursuant to CRS 32.5-124 for failure to comply with the condition of an order, permit, or regulation, and that a violation exists of the Colorado Land Reclamation Act for the extraction of construction materials under CRS 34-32.5-101. Pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-124-6A, we revoke permit M-1978-208. That pursuant to CRS 34-32.5-118-1B, find the financial warranty for permit number M-1978-208 in the amount of $10,400, subject to forfeiture. We confirm the determination that the financial warranty in the amount of $10,400 should be forfeited in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118-3A. And that we issue written findings of fact and conclusions of law to support a decision, and that we issue an order directing the affected financial warrantors to immediately deliver to the board all amounts warranted by applicable financial warranties in accordance with CRS 34-32.5-118-3B.
I'll second that, Ms. Forrest.
Okay, been moved and seconded. I guess the only thing I'm saying is you really already have the $10,400 in hand, which I guess still needed in the motion, but then the civil penalties are no longer applicable. So been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you. This is Lauren. I just want to make a note that on our agendas, I believe this site was referred to as the Elk Meadows site instead of Elk Creek Sand and Gravel.
Okay. Let's see, next, I'm finding my agenda copy. What's the next item on the agenda here? Somebody help me a minute.
So Robinson.
Okay, right, Robinson.
Yes, and Mr. Robinson has joined.
Okay. Well, I think we need to start with the staff on this issue first, don't we?
Dana Cunningham here with the division.
Hey, John, do you want to swear everyone in, including Mr.
That's right. All those that intend to testify, tell me your names and then let me swear you in.
Daniel Cunningham.
Jared Ebert.
Okay, you're the only two.
Yep.
Okay. Daniel and Jared, do you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Thank you.
Mr.
Proceed.
Robinson is also here.
Oh. Mr. Robinson, do you intend to testify?
Yes, I do.
Let me swear you at this time as well. You swear to tell the truth?
Okay. Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Gonna share my screen here. Give me a second. All right, my name is Daniel Cunningham. I am an environmental protection specialist with the Division of Reclamation, Mining and Safety. I'm here today for the consideration of final forfeiture of the financial warranty for the Robinson Sons Gravel Pit Number 1, permit M 2008-076, currently held by Robinson Sons Incorporated. There was some communication on Monday that we'll go over later in the presentation. The site is approximately 23 miles west of Trinidad, located in Los Animas County, Colorado. It is a 112C permit, currently holding 180.6 acres, where they mine for sand and gravel. The division currently holds a bond of $52,815 in the form of a letter of credit. The required bond is $173,730. Little site history: the site was originally a 78-acre permit. It was supposed to take place in 5 phases, and only 20 acres were supposed to be disturbed at any given time. However, on November 23rd, 2016, DRMS conducted an inspection where it was found that 6.74 acres were affected outside the approved permit boundary. On March 14th, 2017, the Mine Land Reclamation Board found Robinson Sons Incorporated in violation for engaging in a mining operation without first obtaining a reclamation permit. A civil penalty and a cease and desist order were issued, and a corrective action to incorporate all affected lands into the permit was required. The division on December 21st, 2018 approved Amendment 1, which increased acreage by 102.6 acres, increasing surety to $173,730. The operator was given till February 19th, 2019 to provide it. The division did not receive it. On May 30th, 2019, a new violation was found for failure to provide the financial warranty. The permit was immediately revoked, and the operator was given until July 24, 2019 to advance the reclamation of affected land to the existing bond of $52,815 or provide the additional financial warranty of $120,915. There was a civil penalty of $64,000, which was suspended if the operator complied with the board order. The board found financial warranty subject to forfeiture per CRS 34-32.5-118, Section 1, subsection B. On September 24th, the board granted an extension to October 22nd, 2019. On January 24th, an aerial inspection was conducted where the operator could be seen conducting active reclamation in the photos. On February 26th, an in-person inspection was conducted, and the division estimated that the current bond would be at $84,446. The division also at that time believed that the operator had finished almost $90,000 worth of reclamation. The operator and financial warrantor were sent notice of board hearing on February 12th, 2020. An additional letter was sent out for continuance in March, and the operator sent a letter to the division on Monday, April 20th. In the letter, it requested an extension be granted to complete additional reclamation, and the cease and desist order be modified to allow removal of stockpiles for further reclamation, and also to allow the bond to be modified to account for all the reclamation that has been completed to date. The operator in the letter claims to have completed additional reclamation, but at this time, the division has been unable to verify it due to the current coronavirus. In summary, the operator has already been found in violation of the permit, and the financial warranty are now subject to forfeiture. Additional required surety or reclamation was due by October 22nd per the granted extension on September 24th. DRMS has yet to receive the required surety or has seen enough reclamation to bring the surety down to $52,815. The operator did submit a request on Monday. The actions the board can take can be found in CRS 34-32.5-118, Section 3. Subsection A, which states at a hearing held pertinent to the subsection 2 of the section, the board may withdraw or modify any determination that the financial warranty is subject to forfeiture, settle or compromise the determination, or confirm its determination that the financial warranty should be forfeited. Division at this time recommends that the board modify its corrective action so that the operator may submit additional financial warranty in the amount prescribed by DRMS or advance reclamation to the current financial warranty of $52,815. That the board grant an extension of 180 days, and that the board modify but maintain the cease and desist order to allow the operator to sell off the remaining stockpiles of material that are on site, but not conduct any further mining operations until this has been negated. Any questions?
Any questions? No questions or comments. Mr. Robinson, do you want to testify?
Yes, or just kind of where I'm at right now is I've done a lot of reclamation and I've done the seeding, which will account for some of the cost that's in it. But now is the growing season now. So a lot that hasn't grown will probably grow back in if we can get some moisture down here. So I'm hoping to just get enough time for it to grow that that bond will, the bond price will go down enough to, right now I'm having trouble with gas prices so low, even coming up with a lot of the money. And my banks right now aren't really giving out money to increase that surety bond. But I'm thinking I've done enough reclamation and I can possibly do some more. I've already done some more since the last time they were here. So I'm thinking the next time they come and inspect that I will be well under what that bond amount is. And I guess I'm asking they don't forfeit the bond because I have been working pretty hard on it to get back in compliance.
Are you in agreement with the staff recommendation?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Remind me again of where your pit is west of Trinidad.
I am about 20 miles west of Trinidad. I am just maybe a mile north of Weston, the little town of Weston there.
Yeah, okay.
Just off the, maybe a mile off the Purgatory River there.
Okay. So you're up there by the Bosque Hills, so.
Yes, just below that.
Mm-hmm. Has any other comments by the staff or any board? Does any board member have any comments or questions?
Yeah, this is Lauren Duncan.
If not, would someone make a motion? Okay, Lauren, go ahead.
Oh, sorry about the delay there. I just was wondering if you think you need one more season in order to achieve the coverage in terms of acreage, or if you're going to need another year, a full year, trying to get your reading on how much time you need in order to achieve that coverage.
I'm now, you know, like I said, I've seeded it now, and I'm thinking it'll come into growth now that the weather's starting to warm up. So I'm thinking at least probably by July, it should be growing back in if we get a little bit more moisture. And I may do some watering of it if I can to get it to start germinating. But I have seeded everything that we did reclaim, which is a pretty significant area.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Could we have a motion to accept the staff's recommendation?
I'll make a motion with regard to file number M-2008-076 that we modify the existing board ordered corrective action so that the operator may submit additional financial warranty in the amount prescribed by DRMS or advanced reclamation So the current warranty of $52,815 is adequate. We extend the corrective action deadline by 180 days from the signature date of the board's modified order, and that we allow the operator to sell off the remaining stockpiles of mined material that are on site, but otherwise maintain the current cease and desist order.
Is there a second?
This is Nell. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is passed. With that, we got a formal hearing on the proposed coal rule changes. I guess I would suggest maybe 10, 15-minute break if that's okay with everybody. Any objection to a break? I see a thumbs up. That's good.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much for your presentation on the Robinson. Thank you, Mr. Robinson, for checking in with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, board.
Okay, we'll be back in, what do you want, 10 or 15 minutes? What time is it?
10:22.
22. Why don't we come back at 10:35? How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're unmuted, John.
Thank you. Thought you were tired of listening to me. As soon as everyone tunes in, we'll start again. Everyone back?
Hopefully.
Pardon me. Oh, Forrest is back. Jill's here. I think Nell's back. Lauren, are you back? Karen?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, well, I think I haven't heard from Lauren, but I think we can go ahead and get started. If that's all right with the pleasure of the board. Tim, is Tim here? Probably not,
Sir.
but anyway.
Tim's here.
Tim's here, okay. With that, we call on Janet Benz to talk to us about the rulemaking amendment.
I believe it's going to be Jim Stark.
Okay.
It is going to be Jim Stark, sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
Go ahead,
are
then.
you ready for me? All right, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Jim Stark, Coal Program Director, and we are here to have our formal public hearing for the coal rules package, which is referred to as CO040FOR. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on the coal program. You don't see many coal matters, so if you've heard this before, I apologize. The coal program is a federally delegated program under the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of August 3rd, 1977. One provision in that act is that states could gain primacy and have their own program, their own regulatory program. The main condition there was that they must have a statute and rules as stringent or more stringent than the federal statute and rules. To that end, in 1980, the state passed the Colorado Surface Coal Mining Reclamation Act and the rules and regulations of the Colorado Mineland Reclamation Board for coal mining. And in December of 1980, the division gained primacy to regulate coal mining in the state of Colorado. So on a side note, we're coming up on our 40-year anniversary here at the end of this year. Oversight of our program is administered by the Federal Office of Surface Mining, or the OSM. We have what's called a federal state cooperative agreement with the OSM that details the responsibilities of both parties. Basically, the OSM, we do all permitting, enforcement, inspecting, all activities related to coal mining. And OSM ensures that Colorado is operating its program consistent with federal requirements. That's both on the inspecting, the enforcement, the permitting, on kind of on all fronts. They are regularly looking at our rules to make sure that we're up to date with any changes that may have occurred in the federal rulemaking process. And from SMACRA 30 CFR section 732 and 733, they issue what are called 732 and 733 letters to address programmatic deficiencies. A 732 letter is for a statute or rule deficiency, and a 733 letter is for a kind of a program performance or administrative deficiency. So over the course of the years, the division, we've received a lot of 732 letters, but in this particular package, we're addressing 8 separate 732 letters. As you can see here, one from quite some time ago, May 1986, dealing with lands unsuitable for surface coal mining operations. one from June 5th, 1996, dealing with subsidence, June 19th, 1997, dealing with thin and thick overburden, April 2nd, 2001, and February 1st, 2008, dealing with valid existing rights to perform coal mining operations. And then May 11th, 1989, January 13th, 1997, October 2nd, 2009, dealing with ownership and control information. So all of the 732 letters were based on federal rules that OSM promulgated. So at one point, our rules were consistent with federal rules. OSM then changed their rules, which led to them requesting that we change our rules to be consistent with the federal rules. So in addition to the deficiencies noted in those 732 letters, OSM also informally notified us that we needed to change our regulations on a host of other topics, as you can see there: roads, notification requirements, mine entry sealing, topsoil replacement, reclamation success, and criminal penalties. Within that, the division added a few of our own little wish list to mine entry and reclamation success, but pretty much everything was initiated by the Office of Surface Mining. Also in this rule package, there are a lot of typographical error corrections, rule citation error corrections, and then we changed the name from Division of Minerals and Geology to Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety. And that, just simple changes like that still require this program to go through the federal rulemaking process. So we think we've cleaned up the vast majority of our rules with this package. So the rulemaking process, just a bit of history. On November 31st, 2010, we held our first public meeting to discuss our proposed rule revisions. This was a public meeting held at 1313 Sherman. On December 21st, 2010, we solicited comments from operators, environmental groups, trade organizations, and interested parties via email, and we sent it out to over 700 people. We held another public meeting to discuss the package we had put together and the rules as they stood on February 8th, 2011. Through this process, we only received one comment, and that was from the Colorado Mining Association. And what they had asked in their comment, they asked that we separate the 732 issues, so the federal issues, kind of with the state level issues, the issues that we were trying to get in the rules kind of outside of that 732 process. We had discussions with them, and we explained how onerous the process is and that it was easier to have one package going through than two packages going through at the same time. And you can see this has taken, what, 9 years? So you have two packages trying to go through there. It's going to take a lot longer. So I think CMA understood that and agreed with just kind of the one package. So then on April 11th, 2011, the division submitted the formal programmatic amendment, again, CO040FOR to the OSM for review. Then after several rounds of adequacy reviews and minor modifications, the division submitted its final programmatic amendment on October 1st, 2014. So in the kind of intervening 4.5 to 5 years, that was in OSM's court. It goes through 20 to 30 solicitors for surnaming, has to go to the ASLM at DOI. So it goes through a bunch of different parties for various checks and approvals. Finally, last year on March 20th, 2019, we were notified that OSM headquarters was signing the final Federal Register notice. And then at the speed of government on August 29th, that notice actually published. And when that notice published, there was no comment period. That was a notice of final rules. So the package became final for OSM purposes. Once the package was final, the division had to put a few things together. And on November 13th, we petitioned the board to initiate rulemaking proceedings for state level rulemaking. On December 10th, we published the notice of rulemaking in the Colorado Register. We also sent out an email to that 750 stakeholders, telling them that we were initiating state level rulemaking. And we received no comments either from the Colorado Register notice or from the email blast. So I'm just going to go over quickly some of the main rule changes in there. Everyone should have the red line version of the proposed revisions, and the statement of basis and purpose. Really, the statement of basis and purpose is probably the easiest place to see what changed and why it changed. It's only 40 pages versus the rule changes, which I think are about 150 pages. That red line version is a little difficult to look at. So the good portion of the changes are in Rule 1.04, which are our definitions section. There are 42 changes, and I think it takes up something like 14 pages of the basis. Really, the main thing is it's adding clarification to the definitions. It's correcting, inaccurate text, inaccurate rule citations, or rule citations that may have changed through this package, correcting typographical errors, and then changing DMG to DRMS in a number of places. There's also one that's, more major than just kind of the typographical and clarification, and it's Rule 1.04 parens 111. It changes the definition of roads, and really what it's doing is it's clarifying that public roads are not under the division's jurisdiction. A lot of operators use public roads for various parts of their operation, and they have to have an agreement with the county, the city, the municipality, whoever owns that road, to use that road for more than just traffic in and out of the mine. So those are not under division jurisdiction, and we just had to clarify that. The next kind of set of changes deal with ownership and controls information within the permits, and that's Rule 2.03. It clarifies how the division will determine whether an entity owns or controls a surface mining operation. And it really places the burden on the operator to provide this information versus the burden on the division. All of these companies are required to submit all of their officers, anyone who is in a position within that mine, or any of the corporations above that mine. It also clarifies how we'll manage information in a system called the Applicant Violator System. It's the AVS database. That basically it's a federal database that has all owners and controllers for every mine in the country. Anyone who's ever been an officer or a mine manager at a mine is in this system. And the system was set up to keep bad actors out of coal mining. Back in the day before SMACRA, an operator would start a company, not complete reclamation, go into bankruptcy, leave reclamation for the state to have to complete, then they start up another coal mining company, and they just had this pattern. So SMACRA said, this isn't going to happen again. If you bankrupt a company and don't complete reclamation, you have your permit revoked, your bond forfeited, you're blacklisted from coal mining forever. So this AVS system is in place for that. And again, the changes really just clarified the role of the division and how we interact with that system and how we enter information into that system and when we enter it into the system. The next change is to Rule 2.06.6, and it basically is a change to the subsidence rule, and it ensures that material damage resulting from subsidence to water supplies, water users, and other structures is mitigated. It was always kind of an understood, but this clarifies and puts it in writing. So structures like power lines, gas lines, pipelines, this clarifies that operators are required to mitigate any material damage to those structures, as well as residences and other buildings. Okay, the next one is Rule 2.07.6, which is something called valid existing rights. Valid existing rights are mines that had operations in place prior to the enacting of SMACRA, so prior to August 3rd, 1977. it clarifies the requirements to demonstrate DER. So currently, there are no mines in Colorado operating under valid existing rights. So this is really, we have to be consistent with federal rules, but this is something that we're probably not ever going to be using moving forward. All right. Next, rule 2.07.8, and this is a new rule. This is something that we didn't have in our rules that we had to, and this is improvidently issued permits. So it clarifies a process for the review and rescission of permits that were improperly issued. And the reason that they may have been improperly issued is if there was an outstanding notice or a notice of violation at another site that was owned by this mine, unabated violations, maybe an officer that was on the AVS blacklist in a company, we can't issue a permit in those cases. So we would have improvidently issued that permit. So it's a process for how we can revoke that permit, basically. Again, we've never used this in the history of Colorado, and given our 6 active sites that are, they're Arch, Peabody, GCC, I don't see that being used at this point. I mean, we have the big companies out there now, so I don't see this ever being used. But again, it gets us in line with the federal requirements. We also have a change to our notification requirements in Rule 2.08.4. Coal rules have a very robust public notification requirement, including county, state, local government entities, NGOs, members of the public. This just clarifies that the division will notify local government agencies of revisions to permits, permit renewals, and anything else that they express interest in. Again, we have in the past, when people ask us if they can be notified, we always do. This just clarifies that even if a local government agency does not ask at these triggers, we will still notify them. We also have a change to Rule 4.06, topsoil replacement. And this allows for the use of variable topsoil replacement to mimic natural conditions. The rules basically said that topsoil must be replaced. All topsoil must be salvaged and replaced. It was always interpreted that it was replaced at a consistent blanket. If you removed an average of 8 inches of topsoil, you were replacing 8 inches of topsoil. Back in 2010, maybe 2009, we had the Colorado mine. They basically wanted to do a variable topsoil replacement to mimic natural conditions. So thin at the ridge lines, deep in the drainage bottoms. Our rules didn't say they could do that. They didn't say we couldn't do it. So we went ahead and allowed it, kind of one of those gray areas in the rules. This basically clarifies that that is acceptable. As long as you're salvaging and replacing all topsoil, you can replace it how you see fit, as long as you're getting proper growth out on your mine site. So this is a change that was division driven, and this is mine entry sealing, Rule 4.07.3. We are specifying design standards for the mine seals, and we're also requiring the certification of the mine seal construction by a registered professional engineer. Rule 4.14.4, thin and thick overburden. This provides a definition of thin and thick overburden. It also establishes requirements for surface mines with thin and thick overburden. And Colorado does not have any surface coal mining operations that meet the definition of thin and thick overburden. May we get an application at some point? It's possible, but right now, this is just a rule to make us consistent with OSM. And we're on the downhill slide here. Reclamation success standards, Rule 4.15. This clarifies the success standards for specific post-mining land uses. A couple of the major highlights: species diversity requirements are removed from forestry, grazing land, and pasture land. Vegetative cover, production, and woody plant density are now required for undeveloped land. And then it clarifies the timing for sampling for final bond release. The old rules basically required sampling in years 9 and 10 of the 10-year extended liability period. Now this gives the operators a little more flexibility. For grazing pasture or cropland, you can sample any 2 years following year 6. So in 7, 8, 9, and 10, you can sample any 2 years then. The same with rangeland. For forestry, recreation, wildlife habitat, and undeveloped land, you only have to have 1 growing season, and that's after year 9. Oh, sorry, there's one more here. I thought that was the last one, but this is a rule change to 5.06 criminal penalties. And this includes criminal penalties for operators under certain conditions, basically willfully or knowingly violating permit conditions, refusing to comply with a division or board order, or knowingly making false statements or representations to the division or the board. So, requested board action and next steps. Today, I'm requesting the board approve the proposed revisions to the rules and regulations of the Mineland Reclamation Board for coal mining contained in CO 040 FOR, which is dated October 1st, 2014. And if the board approves this package, the next steps would be the division would request an opinion from the AG's office that the laws or that the new rules are consistent with the act and the Constitution of the state of Colorado. We would then publish with the Secretary of State's office and the Office of Legislative Services. We would publish the rules in the Colorado Register, and then the rules would become effective 20 days after publication in the Colorado Register. So I think that's all I had for you. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain those now.
Any questions for Mr. Stark? Any discussion on the issue?
Okay, so Stan Dempsey from the president of CMA would like to talk for a couple minutes, if that's all right.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I had him on my list. I forgot.
No.
Go ahead, Mr. Dempsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Stan Dempsey, president of the Colorado Mining Association, and we're pleased to participate in the rulemaking hearing by supporting the Colorado rulemaking packet, Coal Colorado rulemaking package. As Mr. Stark indicated, we participated going back from the inception of the stakeholder process in 2010 and do support the rules. I would let the board know that Jim has kept us up to date with his visits to our coal committee throughout the years, especially as this rulemaking process is culminating today. And we appreciate that. We appreciate the open communication as these rules were developed and what impact they might have on our members. I have to say, Jim, you're right that maybe in 2010, when we asked to bifurcate the rules, you were right that these would be even more complicated to adopt separately. So I wasn't here in 2010, but I think you made the point very well. And we want to support the rules finally. And I think my final comment is that adoption of the rules means that Colorado will have updated everything it needs to do to have a strong and credible program. And we think that's very important in its administration of the SMACRA program. So with that, thank you very much to the board and Mr. Chairman for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and expertise on the issue. With that, any other questions or discussion from the board? I think it would be appropriate if Mr. Luke would make a motion on this issue.
Yeah, we just, these rules were vetted pretty carefully about 10 years ago. And I think everyone involved was in agreement that these rule changes were needed. And so with that, I will make a motion that the board approve the proposed revision to the rules and regulations of the Mineland Reclamation Board for coal mining CO-040-FOR dated October 1st, 2014. And I lost the feed there.
Oh, that was it.
Is that enough of a motion? Okay. All right.
Thanks, Forrest. Is there a second?
Yep, this is Lauren.
Karen.
Oh,
Aaron seconded first, I guess. It's been moved and seconded, and we had no discussion further unless there's some more. Or somebody wants to comment at this time. I would ask for the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
hi.
Aye.
And those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion is passed. And thank you so much for your presentation, Mr. Stark, and it was a good job. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the board's help with this.
You bet. Next up, which is not on my agenda, I didn't really hear anything about this until Monday, and I don't really know how to proceed on this exactly, but we have an issue regarding acceptance of some testimony from a citizen regarding the Pikeview pit in Colorado Springs. How do we handle this, Mr. Corriman?
So there's been a petition for a declaratory order on this. We've got it on the agenda noticed that we can go into an executive session. I can give the board some advice, some legal advice about the rules regarding motions for or petitions for declaratory order, and sort of what the rules that the process that the rules outline for the board, if that's something the board is interested in.
Could you kind of summarize, what this is about and what we need to do, and and should we take testimony from the parties that are in this subject first?
Yeah,
I would think we should. I mean, if we're gonna go into executive session, or we need to, we'd probably need as much information as we can garner prior to doing that. What do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my thought was that going to executive session, I can just kind of lay out the way that the rules for declaratory order apply in just kind of generally. And then we can come out of executive session and the board can deliberate and figure out what they want to do. My preference was to give the board an outline of how the rules apply, what options they give the board in considering what to do with the declaratory order.
You wanted to do that in executive session?
That'd be my preference. I think my interpretation of the rule is going to come down to legal advice, and I would prefer to do that, not an open session.
Are there any comments from the board? You probably know not a whole lot more than I do about it, but which is very little. What do you think? Is there, I guess, acceptance by the board to go into executive session and have our legal counsel tell us what this is about? Any comment from any other board members?
From my standpoint, I think that might be good, Ms. Forrest.
So this is Lauren. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
John, just for the sake.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just for the sake of clarity, what I would be doing in executive session would not be discussing the particulars of this petition or what it's about. It would just be kind of giving the board some legal advice as to how the rules are laid out and what options they give the board. I mean, just generally, I can tell you that, the gist of the petition for declaratory order is seeking an order from the board as to whether or not the objector in the Pikeview issue or permit application, amendment application, has party status. And so it's a standing issue. And, you know, kind of the details are in the motion and the response that was filed by the objector's attorney. But you know, my intention with executive session was that the rules lay out a process and options for the board in evaluating any petition for declaratory order. And it's somewhat, there are a lot of ways to skin the cat, essentially, that the board should consider. And it's not entirely, I mean, you could read the rules yourself, but it might be beneficial for me to kind of to walk you through it and give you my legal advice on what your options are.
Okay. Well, is there a motion then from the board to go in executive session, and I'll have maybe I should have you read the motion, the motion to enter an executive session, Mr. Coreyman, and then we'll see what the board's wishes are. I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it if you want, but I think you're better at it. So.
Well, I'm not on the board, so I can't make a motion. But an outline for a motion is on the last page of the board packet, and then just you know, I think
As chairman, can I move that motion?
Yeah.
Okay. I move that the board enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing with counsel disputes that are the subject of pending or imminent court action, discussing specific claims or grievances, receiving legal advice on specific legal questions, and discussing matters required to be kept confidential pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes, section 24-6-402, paren 3, paren A, paren 2, including I need to make sure that we have 5 members present, and I think that's true. And then I need a second to that motion.
This is Jill, I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 With that, I'll give you a number. You'll call in.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. We
Mhm.
probably shouldn't give that out over the air.
Or do we all have that number? Let's. I guess I
Everybody should have
ask
that number.
Oh.
Then you'll mute us here.
Yep, I'm gonna mute you guys there, and then you guys should be good to go.
Okay.
Excuse me, this is Karen. I'm trying to say, where would that number be located?
I sent an email this morning. Alyssa, I'll send you one right. Well, I can't send it to you. I'll send it to Tammy right now.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, sorry, yeah, I can't access it. Thank you. I'll pick it up.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right. So everybody call in, and then we'll be on the phone. Thank you.
All right, guys, everybody's muted. Hello?
All right. So we'll probably give it a minute for everybody to come back online and make sure, but I just want for the record, this is Senior Assistant Attorney General Charles Koyman. The time is now 11:54 a.m. The board has ended executive session, is now moving back into open meeting.
You guys are back on.
Hello?
I got you, John.
Yeah, is anybody else on?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm here, John. Karen.
Okay, Karen. Anybody want to talk about this thing a little bit? We need to proceed in one fashion or another.
I can tee it up for the discussion. I think as we discussed that the threshold question is whether, before we discuss anything else, is whether we're going to rule on the petition today. And that goes into the factors outlined in our rules. Of course, I just lost in my hundreds of things I have open. The factors, whether it will terminate a controversy or remove uncertainties as to the applicability to petitioner, or whether the petition involves an issue which is subject to a formal matter pending before the board. Obviously, there are other factors, but those are at least two, I think, that are relevant here for discussion. So that's the question for the board is, do we want to rule on this petition? If yes, why? If no, why?
Any other comment? No other thoughts? I guess if we don't have any action, we'll just have to ignore the petition. I don't know. Don't tell me.
No.
I don't know what else to do. I'm chairman.
I mean, I think one of the things that we can talk about is whether it makes sense to address this now or whether this is really something that's set up for a hearing. And I understand there's frustration that the hearings keep getting moved, but whether this is really tied to an issue that's already scheduled before the board and that we can, that will be addressed at a board that's our board hearing that's already going to happen, to which the petitioner is a party. So that's one thing I think we should talk about as the board. And I won't call on anyone because I know everyone hates that when I do that.
Any thoughts on Jill's comments? The only thing I'd say is if we're going to already have a meeting, maybe we ought to do it all at once. I mean, that might be the logical thing, because I really think we deserve to have a hearing on this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in reading some of Mr. Dean's documents, it sounded more like his questions were directed towards the engineering and stability of the site in the long run. And I think that's a valid conversation to have, and a pretty typical conversation for us to have at a board meeting. So I'd be more inclined to hear the entirety of an argument in order to make the best decision we possibly can.
So your suggestion is we all do that in one hearing upcoming?
I think that's the cleanest and most transparent way to proceed forward. Yeah.
I would, this is Tim Mock. I tend to agree with that. I think this is all intertwined, and considering it all together makes sense.
Anyone else? No?
This is Nell. I agree with Lauren and Jill and Tim on that this is just better, full context.
And I agree
Okay.
too.
That's Karen?
Yeah, that's it. I agree with what's already been said.
How about the man from Craig?
I tend to agree as well. I'm not sure exactly what we're proposing though, to hear all at once.
What I guess what I'm hearing is that we not hear this petition, and correct me, Jill, we not hear this petition today, and we combine those efforts into when we finally have the hearing on Continental Materials, either next month or the month following, or whenever we can have it as expeditiously as possible. But we're in a situation that this country's never been in, and we've been very, I think we've been very lenient, and we've looked at Continental when they've come in and said we need more time to bring back more material, and I think we need, so I think that's kind of what I'm hearing from Jill. But we've been considerate to hear what they're putting forth, and I just think we need to put it. I mean, my deal is that I agree with what Jill's talking about. If I've capsulized it right, Jill.
Yeah, I don't know. Whoa, sorry, that's a lot of echo. But I think that reading the petitioner's papers, I'm reading that if we do go to hearing, this may not be an issue because they're just trying to move things along and trying to avoid waiting for a hearing at all. So I'm not sure that this will be an issue if we do go to hearing, but if it is, I think when we go to hearing and the parties still want to pursue standing, I understand it will be difficult to prepare for a standing and for a merits argument. Maybe that's something the parties can work out in advance if they're going to still want to pursue that. But
You want to make a motion, Jill? Sounds like we're all pretty close. Maybe you can capsulize it.
I think it's fairly simple. I move that the board not, hold on, apologies again, too many things open. I move that the board not rule on the petition pursuant to the factors under 2.5.3.
Is there a second?
Second, Karen.
Karen seconds. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. With that, I think Chuck, you had some things, or Mr. Corriman, you were going to talk to us about.
Yeah, I think this just, I just wanted to have kind of a general discussion with the board to see, get some feedback on how this video conference hearing worked for you all. I mean, I think the longer we're at home, we're all discovering, at least I know I am, that I live in a neighborhood that doesn't have a great internet backbone. But we've got some more complex matters that are going to be coming before the board in the immediate future. And so I just kind of wanted to get some input from the board about how this Zoom conference worked for you today. I mean, we didn't have nothing was really contentious, and it was fairly simple. But in terms of hearing matters where we're going to have argument and parties who are potentially making objections or presenting witnesses, obviously there's still a lot of uncertainty as to where we're going to be in a month. And it, you know, I think we got some, we're getting some lifting of restrictions under the safer at home order, but at the same time, I think we're going to have some extended flexibility in how we're teeing things up in the future. And so I just wanted to get some input and discussion from the board about how this Zoom conference worked and sort of what your thoughts are for scheduling complex matters, complex contested matters in kind of the near future.
Well, I appreciate you asking. I also share your sentiment that, you know, I do everything over Wi-Fi up in the mountains, and that sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. So today I got lucky, but yesterday it didn't work at all. So from more of a reliability standpoint, the Zoom conferences are a little tough. Also from a secure standpoint, I think sometimes Zoom has been criticized as being insecure. So, you know, I appreciate that we did executive session over phone, but obviously there's some challenges with the back and forth and everything else. My only, I mean, from a board position, I'm happy to be flexible with whatever works for people. And maybe this is helpful in springtime when we all have variable weather conditions, and that's great too. But from hearing our objectors and hearing our applicants, I want to make sure that everyone has equal access and equal ability to log on and feel like they're heard and that their case is well understood. And I wonder how well that works remotely. Not something I can really speak to, but I just want to make sure everyone is heard adequately.
Yeah, this is Nell. I was going to say what Lauren said. You know, me personally, I'm fine with this, but I think just depending on the nature of what someone had to present, their access to technology, making sure that that was fair. You know, today, Mr. Robinson, I think he didn't have anything contentious. He agreed with what the staff's recommendations were. He didn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles he had to present. So I think that was okay in this sense, but moving forward, just paying attention to it. And I think we'll have some good examples if they start to open up Eagle and Summit County starting to talk. I think those will be some of the first two counties to open up, and maybe we'll have some better intel in the next month as well of what kind of flexibility we have in our movements.
You know, just to comment, we're all changing our lifestyles, and there's going to be a new norm, and so I think we need to do the best we can. But you know, there are several different forms of communication, and you know, having the ability to sit down in front of somebody and ask a question and look at them, and I think it's a big deal. And a lot of these people's lives are dependent on a fair hearing by us and an open hearing. And if we can, especially the contentious stuff, I'd really like to see us, and we may not be able to. You know, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Jill, I mean, Nell was right. We're gonna watch. You're gonna watch what happens up in the first 2 or 3 counties, and hopefully we're turning the corner. Although I notice Colorado's back in the red nationally on the map, but boy, I just think we really need to work hard to have a public hearing if we can. If we can't, we're just going to have to live a different life.
I would agree with everybody's comments. I would encourage us to do the best we can to keep things moving forward in a timely manner. We don't know how long we might be in this type of state. We don't know what the changes. I do know from our end here that a lot changes very quickly. I wonder if there are opportunities to provide some space for board members to come down to 1313 perhaps, Sherman and Denver, and tap into our Wi-Fi system. Also, maybe if there is some capabilities to provide those that might want to testify or provide public comment, some type of a platform in a room with a handful of people socially distanced to allow for an orderly meeting. But then also, again, I do go back to These are exceptional times even for our own board members and staffs. And I know that we're all dealing with challenges at home with whether it's family or something else that make it difficult to give this our undivided attention or raises certain other challenges. So to that extent, I do look to staff. I do like how this went. It seemed like it went pretty well without a hitch today. And that we continue to proceed on how we might be able to make this work and eliminate liabilities. And into that, I do know that there is an exceptional amount of planning that goes into this by staff. So Jenny, to you and your team, hats off. I think this went very smoothly.
This is Russ Means. To kind of piggyback on Mr. Mock's comments and stuff, actually, some of the things that we are starting to try to take a look at is that exact possibility of maybe having parties in different rooms and stuff here at 1313 and some other accesses, and how to control social distancing. And if we're under, if there's an order and stuff like that, and no more than 10 people, when you put the board and essential personnel in one room, that's it. But we have several conference rooms and stuff here at 1313. There could be some ways and stuff to do that. We're just now starting to explore those possibilities. So, and it raises its own complications and stuff too. But the staff is looking at that.
One kind of long-term comment is that maybe this is a good tool to incorporate into future hearings, so that, folks, especially objectors and applicants who live quite a long distance from Denver, might be able to still present via web conference, and that might be a good tool for them instead of driving 4+ hours, especially if there's variable weather or conditions on the site that they need to attend to.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the board's input, and we're, obviously, like, particularly on things that are more contentious, I always have a mind to making sure that we have a very clear record in case something has to go on judicial review. And, I think we're all trying to figure out how to manage that so that we can do things remotely and still have a very clear record that protects all the parties' interests moving forward. The board's got the ability to confidently hear what it needs to make a decision, and B, that we've got a good record of that to protect any decision that's made at the end.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to see what things bring us as we travel down the road here.
I think I just lost everybody.
This is Forrest. I guess I don't disagree with anything that's been said. I think it worked pretty well today. If we have a more complex meeting, then my preference would be not to do it with Zoom. But we'll just have to see how this pandemic goes. And if we need to make some adjustments to what we did today, we can. Otherwise, I'd prefer to meet in person with more complex hearings.
This is Karen, and I agree with what Forrest says. So, for both of us, it's a long distance. It's a long distance for you, Jim, also. John, I'm sorry. But I agree. It's the complex, contentious issues that I feel very uncomfortable about using Zoom. I just don't think you get the full span of what needs to be said and seen, and particularly if they're showing things on the monitors on the side that often are really very, very helpful and very concise. And I don't know how that can be handled. Maybe it can easily, but you know, I like this if the meetings are not full of complex and contentious issues. This is great because right now we're starting to open up the ranch, and I've got laborers who are starting here are going to be testing positive, and you know, this ties me up here. But by the same token, I'm prepared to make those trips down for those meetings that are really, really difficult.
Any other comment? Okay, with that, you know, I guess we need to ask for public comment. I don't know where the public is exactly, but if there's anybody that wants to comment, please speak up or let us know where you are, and we'll certainly listen to you. Hearing no public comment, if there's no other business, I would call for adjournment. Hearing no other business, I guess we can stand adjourned. Thank you so much for everybody's patience. I think this is new for all of us. And gosh, what an attentive group, and everybody was on, and it sure helps the chairman. And we're gonna have a new chairman next month who will do a great job. So
Yep. Thanks, you guys. I really appreciate you guys like really stepping up and helping me get through this.
well, Cammie, you did a great
Thank you.
job. I meant to mention that, you know, you watch out for all of us, and we appreciate it dearly.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, be
Okay,
well,
well,
everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
All right, thank you. And everybody stay out of trouble.
Stay healthy.
well.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay.
This is Alyssa. The audio was really good today, so I was happy with that.
Yay.
Be healthy, everybody.
You too.